Hello everyone, welcome to Mastermind. Today let us learn a very important topic called brain eating amoeba. This is in news recently. So, brain eating amoeba is also known as Naegleria fowleri. Naegleria is a free living amoeba. Naegleria is a free living amoeba and it is a single celled living organism. It is very small and it can be seen only through a microscope, and only one species of Naegleria infects people, which is that Naegleria fowleri. Of the many species that belong to Naegleria, only Naegleria fowleri infects people, and it was first discovered in Australia in the year 1965. So let us look at how it infects people. When can Naegleria fowleri infect people? Naegleria fowleri usually infects people when water containing this fowleri amoeba enters the body through the nose. Please remember, through the nose. This usually happens when people go for swimming, diving, diving, or even when they put their heads under fresh water like in lakes or rivers. So there needs a passage for this Naegleria fowleri to enter the body, and that passage is nasal passage, or through nose this amoeba enters the body, and this usually happens when people go for swimming, diving, or when they put their heads under the fresh waters like lakes or rivers. The amoeba travels through the nose. Please remember, it travels through the nose to the brain. It goes to the brain and it uses nasal passage as the channel to travel to brain. And when it reaches the brain, it starts destroying the brain tissue. It starts affecting the brain tissue that is present in the brain, and it causes a devastating or a fatal infection called PAM. Please remember, PAM. PAM means primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. Primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. So this is a fatal condition that is caused when the Naegleria fowleri enters the brain. Naegleria fowleri infections may also happen when people use contaminated water to clean their noses. So in other words, it requires a passage, and usually it's the nasal passage which the amoeba uses to reach the brain. It has to be noted that people cannot be infected with Naegleria fowleri by drinking contaminated water. This is very important because this could be asked in many multiple choice questions, because the question could be asked like, if people drink water contaminated with Naegleria fowleri, then they can be infected. No, it cannot happen. It has to be noted that people cannot be infected with Naegleria fowleri by drinking contaminated water, and also there are not any evidences available to prove the spreading of Naegleria fowleri through water vapor or aerosol droplets. So it won't spread through water vapor as well as aerosol droplets. It doesn't spread through these media. So please remember these points. Now let's look at the habitat of Naegleria fowleri. Naegleria fowleri is usually a heat-loving or thermophilic. Please remember, thermophilic. Thermo means heat, philic means loving. Naegleria fowleri is a heat-loving organism and it thrives in warm water. Please remember, warm fresh water and soil around the world. It eats other small organisms like bacteria. It eats organisms like bacteria found in the sediment in lakes and rivers, and it has to be noted that it is usually not found in salt water like the ocean. So it is usually not found in salt water or ocean. And next question that pops up is it contagious? Is it contagious? That is, could it be a contagious disease? No. The infection from brain eating amoeba cannot be spread from one person to another. So please remember, it is not a contagious disease and the infection cannot be spread from one person to another person. Now let us look at the symptoms of this disease. Naegleria fowleri, as I've already told you, it causes primary amoebic meningoencephalitis, which is a brain infection that destroys the brain tissue. In the early stages, symptoms of PAM may be resembling that of bacterial meningitis. It will be resembling bacterial meningitis. Bacterial meningitis. If we look at the incubation period, usually the first symptoms of PAM start about 5 days after infection. This is in usual condition. 5 days after the infection, but the incubation period ranges from 1 to 12 days. 1 to 12 days. And what are the symptoms? Symptoms may include headache, fever, nausea, vomiting, etc. Later, as the symptoms get worse, it causes stiff neck. This is very important. Stiff neck, confusion, lack of attention to people and surroundings, seizures, hallucinations, seizures and hallucinations, and coma. After symptoms start, the disease usually progresses rapidly and usually causes death within 5 days. It usually causes death within 5 days, and death is caused because the infection destroys brain tissue. As the name itself tells, it is the brain eating amoeba. So it affects brain tissue, causing brain swelling and ultimately death. What is the mortality rate? According to the US-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the mortality rate is as high as 97%. So the mortality rate is about 97%. Now let us look at the treatment. Since primary amoebic meningoencephalitis is rare and also the infection progresses very quickly, effective treatments have been challenging to identify. So as of now, we do not have effective treatment to this disease. There is no effective treatment as of now. However, this disease is usually treated with a combination of drugs, often including amphotericin B. This is very important. It is usually treated with amphotericin B and also azithromycin, fluconazole, rifampin, miltefosine, and dexamethasone. Experts opine that the rising global temperatures or the climate change is going to exacerbate the number of infections of Naegleria fowleri. So according to CDC again, with the rising global temperatures, the possibilities of getting this infection will rise as the amoeba mainly thrives in warm freshwater bodies. I have already told you. The organism best grows in high temperatures up to 46 degrees Celsius and sometimes can survive at even higher temperatures. Therefore, climate change is going to promote infections with respect to Naegleria fowleri. Now let us solve two multiple choice questions on brain-eating amoeba. Consider the following statements regarding brain-eating amoeba. Naegleria fowleri is also known as the brain-eating amoeba. It was first discovered in Australia in 1965. So here both the statements are correct. Therefore, the right option is option 3, both A and B. Second question says, consider the following statements regarding Naegleria fowleri. People get infected with Naegleria fowleri by drinking contaminated water. The infection from Naegleria fowleri can be spread from one person to another. I have explained about both these things. Both the statements are wrong. Therefore, the right option over here is option 4, neither A nor B. So this is all about brain-eating amoeba in this video. This is a very important concept both from mains perspective as well as multiple choice questions perspective. Please go through the video multiple times for better clarity and also refer to the article given on Mastermind as well. Thank you.